but a meeting space is, there we go. I think most people have some form of a meeting space, but I guess, again, it's looking to how you could reuse and reconfigure your meeting space so you could maximize the use and the space that you've got. We talked about warm up and cool down and the landing space. So close proximity of a meeting room, somewhere where you can go. Research also showed that if you're going to have an area like this, it's quite important to keep it in the same colors and feel as the meeting room, so that when you do come out, the brain still feels it's in that sort of area. So if you had a lot of wood, for example, in the meeting room, these areas should be maybe wooden tables or some elements that would keep your brain attuned to where you are. Workshop, so again, teams performing lots of spaces to lay things out. You'd often have a workshop where perhaps if teams are working for a while, they could stay there for a little bit longer and actually work within that space and not have to keep packing up at the end of the day. Again, space permitting, but that's the idea of the workshop. So divide and conquer very much and co-create, so a lot of team activities. And forum. Forum is normally situated somewhere where you do a lot of show and tell. You can have exhibitions, you can put stuff out there. People could stay in sort of perhaps a jump space area within it. So the idea again is that you've got lots and lots of things you can do. We have our whole seating gallery and portfolio in our forum area. So if we ever have clients coming over, they can come and sit quite comfortably and go through and trial everything within that space as well. Again, there's no reason why you couldn't do that within, say, a workshop or the actual meeting room. So if you take the forum, the workshop, and the meeting room, I think what you've got is 3 very similar settings. If you had the luxury of space, great, have all 3, but if not, maybe condense into 1. That just gives you a bit more of an idea there. And finally, we have the plaza. Plaza is normally in the heart of the office. It's the thoroughfare, it's the place where everyone goes. You might have an eating area, you might have spaces where you can go and contemplate, converse, chat, process and respond. Somewhere where everyone has to go through, and a lot of studies being done also on people will use areas where management have to walk through. So these plazas should normally or are normally located maybe in the entrance of the building. It's that real heart. It's what the Americans call the town hall talks. So if you wanted to get together and have sort of, listen guys, we just want to share something with you, it would happen in the plaza. You don't have to book anywhere for it. It's just a nice open space with a variety of settings within it that you can work through. And then just finally, I'm just going to whiz through some images just which can show you sort of different settings that it's quite simple to do. And even if you had elements of these, I think everyone has space to have even just something as small as that, you know, that can be just reconfigured. A team bench, team tables, I think they're incredibly popular at the moment. And there you go. And there you go. I think I'm on time. Thank you. I hope you found that interesting. Right.
Yeah, no, I think just on a final note, that's a very, very quick overview of research that we've done and various settings. And you know, with you guys, if you've got space that you think could work better or space that you think doesn't work, you know, please talk to us and we can give you some of our learning. We're not saying you do a perfect example of I want to be Google, and you know, I always say you can't be Google, you're not Google, and you know. You have to be you have to be Eversheds, you have to be BBC, but you can have a far nicer work setting and, you know, making the space that you've got for your colleagues and your clients and your general spaces that work, because that's what it's all about. And this is part of the way to get in there. It's not the entire solution, but we can work with you guys to get you a better solution. So I think, has anyone got any questions? I get all excited. This is terrible, isn't it? I'm sad.
Do you work with clients kind of pre-move-in to kind of decide which of the 10?
Yes.
Do you need 10? Is 10 appropriate? Is it 5? Is it 7? I mean, you know, I think about Vodafone and some of the very cool spaces they have around activity-based space.
Exactly.
And a lot of what we've been talking about all day has been around choice.
Absolutely, and what part of this is, I said, this is such a condensed version. There is a tool that goes with this, and I mentioned fundamental to all but unique to each. There is a whole, it's almost, I think, a 2.5-hour workshop, intensive workshop, where you work with the designer, with the client, and you go through and you actually analyze what is it that you need as a business? What is it? And what are the spaces? What's supported? What's unsupported? Do you think warm-up, cool-down is important? Do you not think it's important? And then you sort of go through, and there's lots of arguments. You have different groups, steer groups. You could have, sort of people from all different levels working on it. And there's a lot of debate that goes on. There's also sliders that say, are you as a company open or closed? And where would you like to be in the near future or the far future, or where have you come from? And then you move them around, and at the end of it, it just creates sort of like a digital footprint as to which areas you need more of. And it's funny, because some companies don't need a lot of these. Some just need a small proportion.
And what evidence of success do you have?
We have done 6 pilot studies, which I believe are going to be released within, I think it's in the next 2 or 3 months, of the companies. I know who they are, but I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but they are major companies who've worked alongside with this, because obviously that's the measurement of success. Does it work? Are people sort of finding it useful? And touch wood, yes, success so far, it's proving to be there. And I think people are taking elements of it. And I said, we've not invented something here. It is just putting it, as I said, in that language that makes it, I think, digestible for a lot of people.
I think the area where we've proven that it does work is the warm-up, cool-down scenario.
Absolutely.
They're all very buzzy words, but how many times have you been to a meeting? You've got the meeting room from 10 till 11. You get to the meeting room, you go in, you sit down. Oh, how's the kids? Blah, blah, blah. You wasted 15 minutes. True. Then 10 minutes before you finish your meeting, you've got people peering in the window. So you don't get to finish, but by just creating a space that allows you to do the niceties, you get in the meeting, you kick on, you get it done. And then after, as you rightly say, the guy that didn't want to say anything will go over to the boss and say, well, actually, I think, bang. So that is just one element, and we found a lot of our clients have found that one of the meeting space is the nightmare for major organisations. There's never enough. There's a 20-room meeting room with one person sitting in on his phone. It just doesn't work, and by creating other spaces, I think that is where a number of our clients have proven. So, did you have a question, sir?
Yeah, it was just around that. And when you're saying these things are successful or haven't been successful, so how are you judging success? How would your clients judge whether that office change or reconfiguration has been successful?
Oh, so what would be the measure of it? So I think the way they're looking at it is a lot of the studies that were done was about change management and how are they going to reconfigure the office. There was a huge fear that, I know 2 of the companies were afraid they were going to lose a lot of people because of the way that they were planning to do it, and also that challenge of going from, there was a lot of cellular offices involved. So how do you go to the open planned and give people the feeling that they've still got privacy within that and still have spaces to go? So I think it would be, so the biggest one would have been the retention level of when they thought that movement was. And I think what they will do in the report that comes out, they will actually highlight what they were. They always say things like, productivity and creativity, but how do you measure that? Were people more productive because they went into that? We don't know. But I know retention was a big one of that, and actually not losing key people that they were very, very concerned about.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just before you go, one more second, I'll put a few of these out, and what we're talking about is space. We're talking all about space today. So I can actually get my body through a piece of A4 paper if you make the space work for you, because it's all about the space. It's about being creative.
Yeah. That's excellent. Thank you.